Hi beautiful, welcome to my channel. In today's video I'm going to be ranking every single blush formula I tried in 2024 from worst to best. Be ready for a video full of contradictions because I'm looking at the blushes in front of me and where I placed them and I'm like, am I sure? And I'm going over in my head the reasons why I placed them where I placed them, and like I think there is a method to the madness, but just keep in mind that this is ranked on my level of excitement for things. And the blush that ended at number 1 is a blush that I have heavily criticized throughout the year, but it's still my number 1 blush formula I tried this year. We'll get into why once we get there. Every single blush I'm going to mention in today's video is listed and linked down below in the description box. Some of them are going to be tagged through the video, so if you want to shop for any of them, please use my links. There are some blush formulas in this video that I have tried in past years, but they have new shades that launched this year and I wanted to include them still because some of these shades are some of my favorite blushes. With all of that said, let's go ahead and get started. The worst blush I tried in 2024 is actually a blush formula that I quite like. It was one of my top most favorite blushes last year. However, this color specifically I hated and I bought it because I thought I would love it, and it was such a big disappointment. It's my least favorite blush because I'm not excited about it at all. And so I'm talking about this NARS blush right here in the shade Secret Lover specifically. I have this blush in the shade Behave and it's one of my favorite blushes in my collection, but Secret Lover is definitely not my color. This is blush number 21, by the way, and here is what the blush looks like. Here's the swatch of it on the back of my hand. This formula is kind of liquidy and creamy at the same time, but when I tell you this shade, to me it looked like it was going to be nice and peachy online, but once I blended it on my cheek, it looks like my rosacea went through the foundation. This is the same exact color as my rosacea. It brings out the color in my skin that I try to hide with foundation, and so for all of those reasons I do not like this shade. So this is number 21. At number 20 I have a liquid blush formula from COLLAB that I can make work. I like okay, but it's just not my favorite, and it is this formula right here. These are the COLLAB Weightless Liquid Blushes, and the reason I do not love this formula is because COLLAB's liquid blush formula is not creamy. It's like a gel-like texture, and I decided I don't love that gel-like texture. It gives the opposite of smooth. Like you can sometimes see through the blush in some areas more than others. The formula just doesn't fully blend out evenly in my opinion. It's pretty see-through as well. A bit of a tacky feeling, doesn't fully sink into the skin. Lots of little things that irk me. And so for that reason, this is number 20. At number 19, I have the LYS Beauty Stick Cream Blushes. These are cream blushes that are super mega pigmented and they have a bit of a glowy finish to them. Now their glowy finish is not just like the creamy product being glowy, but it also has a bit of shimmer in the formula that I'm not the biggest fan of. These are, by the way, the 2 lightest blushes in their collection. I gave away all of the darker ones that didn't work for me as well. I can blend these out and make them work for me, but it's not my favorite formula. It doesn't fully sink into the skin. I do feel them kind of once I am wearing them, and I just really wish that they hadn't put the little tiny shimmers in there. Overall, it's not a bad formula. Again, I can wear it and I can make it work, but there are so many wonderful blushes that launched this year that it pushed some of these formulas, even though they're good enough, to the back because they don't stand out to me as much as some of the other ones. So that was number 19. At number 18, I have this one right here from Give Beauty. This is their Dewy Plump Blush. This one, again, is one of those formulas. By the way, I did really like the color of this one. Is Marigold. The color is beautiful, but the formula I didn't love. See how you blend it out and it doesn't blend out fully evenly? It also has that gel-like texture similar to the COLLAB ones I just talked about. It doesn't blend out evenly just like that one does. The color I do like more. it is more peachy. This is what I thought the NARS one was going to be like, but this one doesn't look like rosacea, so that's great. Marigolds is the shade. Again, not a horrible formula, it just doesn't fully blend out super smoothly at first. This one sinks in a little faster than ColourPop. To be honest, it's almost fully sunk in by now, but that gel texture is just not my favorite. And again, so many blushes have come out this year that are better, that it pushed good formulas to the back of the line. At number 17, I have a blush from Odin's Eye that I tried this year. It is this one here. This is the Shadows blushes in the shade Luminous Heat specifically. They had different colors. This is the only shade that I kept from their collection. And it's a beautiful matte powder blush. It blends out really nicely. The color is good. It is a bit too pigmented for me. I do prefer my blushes to be more on the buildable side rather than too full of pigment that I then have to blend out. I like my blushes to be barely visible, and every single blush color they came out with in this collection was like super pigmented, super bright, and so for that reason not my favorite, but the formulas are good still. It's a matte soft blurring formula that I do like. The shades just weren't my favorite, and so this is the only one I kept, the only one that I was able to make work for my skin tone. That is the reason this is number 17. At number 16, I have a cream blush from KVD Beauty, this Good Apple blush duo right here. These are actual creamy formulas in blushes that I do like. They have a beautiful pigmentation, they have a beautiful natural finish to them. That's the blushes individually, and then you can even mix your two shades together and get a beautiful color. Formulation wise, I really don't have any problems with this blush at all whatsoever. I think it is a wonderful blush formula with a wonderful finish. I love the way it looks on my face, but if I'm going to be completely honest with you, again, I'm ranking these, so I have to tell you every single little thing that I don't like about them, and I just don't like the packaging of this blush. I really wish that this would have come in a different type of packaging, maybe a blush stick of some sort, so that I wouldn't have to go in with a brush and then to my face. I just prefer, when it comes to cream or liquid blushes, to apply them on the face and then blend them out with a brush rather than having to dig in here with a brush. So that's the only reason why this one is number 16. I just don't like the packaging as much as the rest of them. At number 15, I have these blushes from Rare Beauty that came out this year. These are the Rare Beauty powder blushes. The color Joy, I remember being my favorite, so I'll show you that one. But honestly, a lot of the shades are wonderful. And these blushes are one of those glowy blushes. A lot of glowy blushes came out this year that almost look a little bit highlighty, but they also have that color to them that makes your cheeks rosy. I do really like the idea of glowy cheeks. I feel like glowy cheeks look youthful and lifted, but my least favorite type of glowy cheek is one that has shimmer in it. And even though it's extremely finely milled and it barely enhances your texture, this formula has shimmer in it, and I do think it enhances your texture even if it's just a little bit. And so for that reason, this is number 15, even though I love them, to be honest with you. I really like them. I'm half tempted to start putting blush on my face, but I have a lot of blushes to go still. Really love this formula, but I really wish that somehow they would have been able to make these glowy without the shimmer being visible, and I feel like that would have been wonderful. Like, they almost did it because the formula of the shimmer is super extremely finely milled, but I do feel like it's still just a tad bit texture enhancing. At number 14, a blush that I tried recently, and it is from What's Up Beauty. These right here, I have a few different colors. This one just happens to be the shade Pisa. Depending on the shade, these formulas have more or less shiny particles in the formula. Pisa is fully matte, which I do like that about it, and I think this formula is beautiful. It's buildable. It has a bit of blurring effect on the face that I really love. It has a beautiful soft natural finish to them. I love that they are buildable, but it's honestly not an outstanding formula. I like it. It gets the job done. So that is why this is number 14. At number 13, another of those glowy blush formulas that came out this year. And honestly, out of that glowy, highlighty blush trend, this was my favorite formula, and that is these Juvia's Place blushes right here. The colors I'm showing you are Soft Tulip Glow and Rosy Posy Glow. These are fantastic, and when it comes to those glowy shimmery blushes, I truly believe these truly don't enhance your texture that much. I forgot how pigmented these were, so I used too much, but take a look right there. The beautiful formula, it is creamy, it blends out beautifully and evenly. You can sheer it out or build it up quite a lot. Take a look right here. This one's a little bit more sheared out and then a little bit more built up. You can see it definitely has the shiny glow to them, but it doesn't enhance your texture as much as the Rare Beauty ones. And I love the packaging of these, and the fact that they're a liquid formula I think makes it even less texture enhancing. They have a beautiful glowy finish and quite a lot of different shades as well. These were fantastic, but glowy blushes overall are not my favorite. I prefer more natural finish to them, so that's why these ended up at number 13. At number 12, I have the Sigma Little Mermaid collaboration blush. I love this one. It's in the shade True Love, which is a beautiful pink shade. These had a nice matte finish to them. The formula is great. It blends evenly. It has a really nice color to it, and it gets extra points when it comes to excitement because the packaging is freaking adorable. So besides the packaging though, there's nothing super overly extraordinary about this. It has a good formula with a good color and very cute packaging, and that is what took this one all the way to my 12th spot. At number 11, I have this liquid blush formula right here from Glaminatrix Cosmetics. I really like these blushes. I think my favorite shade is the color Petal because it's that peachy color I love to wear. I do wish that the doe foot applicator was bigger than it is. It's quite small, but the formula of the blush is incredible. So here's the shade Petal blended out. As you can see, these have a natural finish to them, which I absolutely love when it comes to blushes. They're nice and pigmented, but not scary pigmented. And once you blend it out, it sinks right into the skin beautifully. I think I would be more excited about these if the packaging had a bigger doe foot applicator, because as shallow as it sounds, the tiny doe foot applicator is not as fun when it comes to blush application as a bigger one. But other than that, this blush is fantastic. I absolutely love it. The formula is great. It's natural. There's nothing to complain about as far as the formula is concerned. I love it. And so this is number 11 right here. So let's begin with my top 10. And at number 10, I have these blushes here from Anastasia Beverly Hills that came out this year. I honestly didn't really hear that many people like loving these, but I think the formula is great. I also wish the packaging of these would be different. However, I at the same time understand why they made it the way they made it. I wish this was one of those doe foot applicator type packagings as well, because I love those. But it makes sense that they chose this type of packaging for this blush because the tiniest amount goes a huge way. This blush is extremely pigmented, and so it makes sense that they would put it in something that had a very teeny tiny narrow tip, because you see that little tiny dot right there, it spreads like crazy. You really need very little of this blush to go the biggest way on your cheek. A couple of tiny little dots like the one you saw will definitely be more than enough for your cheeks, and so for that reason it does make sense that this squeezy tube has the tiny little tip to it. Formula wise, I already took it off the back of my hand, but formula wise I love that it has a natural finish to them. It is pigmented, but it's very easy and very seamless to blend out, and it sinks right into the skin beautifully. Nothing to complain about. The formula is fantastic. So this right here is number 10. At number 9, I have some powder blushes, and they are the Singe Beauty powder blushes that came out a few months ago. I gotta say, formula wise, these blushes are a 10 out of 10. Angelica went with very risky, very different colors when she first launched these blushes, and when I first saw them, my first impressions was I probably wasn't going to love colors like this one for my cheek, or even a color like this one right here. However, because the formula is as great as it is, these colors work even for me, and so that makes this one, even though the colors for my personal preference are a little odd, it makes it be my number 9. Because even though I can't use a color like this one on its own, I do love the formula to blend in with other blushes and make things a little bit more golden, a little bit more warm if I need to. And then, for example, my favorite blush shade ended up being this one here, which is called Timid Tomato. And even though it looks like a color I would never in a million years go for, the formula is so blendable and so fantastic that I can make it work on myself. You don't have to apply it as pigmented as it looks on the pan. They blend out seamlessly, and you can grab just a tiny bit of this and make it work beautifully on your skin. You know what? I will go ahead and show you this one. I think it's worth it. I'm going to add just a tiny bit of Timid Tomato to the back of my cheekbone here, and you can see how, even though it's a color you wouldn't expect me to ever go for because I'm scared of blush, it absolutely just adds the tiniest hint of color to my face. And I always love the result whenever I reach for this one. They have a blush that is lighter. They have a blush that is more what I would usually go for. However, Timid Tomato proved everything I knew about blush wrong to me, because it's super pigmented, super dark, pretty reddish, warm looking, which is not a color I typically go for when it comes to blush. But it looks so good on my complexion. I absolutely love it. And so that made that blush my 9th favorite. At number 8, I have another liquid blush. This one is from Cali Ray, the Blurry Blush in the shade Zen. I love this color with a passion. The color Zen is right up my alley. Is exactly a color that I love to go for. And this one, as you can see, blends out beautifully. It's nice and pigmented, but not scary. It sinks right into the skin. It feels weightless on the skin as well. Honestly, there's not much I can complain about when it comes to a lot of these beautiful liquid blushes. I love their formula. It's nice and creamy. It applies evenly. It looks very natural on my complexion. And so all of those reasons makes this one be my number 8th most favorite blush I tried this year. At number 7, I have a very similar looking blush in very similar packaging, but this one is a lot more affordable, and that is the Camo Liquid Blushes from e.l.f. Cosmetics. My favorite shade is this one here, which is called Dusty Rose. This one, very similar to the Cali Ray one in color even, and the formula is very similar as well. I think the e.l.f. Cosmetics one is, as you can see, a bit more pigmented and it has a bit more of a glowy finish to it. Plus, it is an absolute steal. Price-wise, it is super affordable. I do have to be a little bit more careful with the e.l.f. one because I don't want to overdo my blush, and as you can see, it's quite pigmented, but the formula is incredible. It has a natural finish, lots of pigment, it blends like an absolute dream, and it sinks right into the skin, ultimately ending up looking very natural. And so for all of those reasons, I love this e.l.f. blush, and it is my 7th most favorite I tried this year. At number 6, a blush formula that went viral at some point this year, and it made me learn who Sabrina Carpenter was because apparently it's the one she uses. This is the Armani Luminous Silk Blush. I know they're bougie and a little pricey, but like the formula of these is incredible. I have 3 different colors. Let me just go ahead and show you the other one. Apparently Sabrina Carpenter uses 62 and 53 combined, which is these 2 colors right here. I do love those, but I also love color 50.5 because I do love me a peachy blush every once in a while. These blushes have the perfect balance when it comes to them being pigmented but not too pigmented, creamy but also very thin. They blend out incredibly, they sink right into the skin, they look beautiful and natural and effortless, and there is absolutely nothing I could possibly complain about when it comes to these Armani liquid blushes and this blush formula in general, which is why these are my 6th most favorite blush I tried in 2024. Honestly, this is a fantastic formula, and I'm always very excited to reach for these blushes. I love these colors as well. So if you don't mind splurging on these, I do love them and I highly recommend them. So let's finally talk about my top 5 most favorite blushes I tried in 2024. At number 5, I have the Ravi Beauty Baked Blushes. You guys, I absolutely love these. My 2 favorite colors are Daydream and Paradise because these colors are beautiful and natural. These baked blushes have a beautiful blurring effect to them, and as I said before, I love the soft blushes that you build up little by little with your brush until you get to the level of intensity that you want your blush to be. The 2 colors that I love, I find to be perfection on my skin tone. They have this soft flush to them that is my favorite. I don't love super bright in your face blushes. I love the ones that are nice and tame, like these right here. This formula being buildable and being a formula that ends up looking extremely natural on the face, but also that has that beautiful blurring effect to it, means I absolutely love it, because all of those things are exactly what I look for when it comes to blushes. And so for all of those reasons, this very luxurious Ravi Beauty formula made it all the way to my 5th most favorite this year. At number 4, a blush formula that I tried recently and fell head over heels for, and that is the Fenty Beauty blush formula. Specifically, I love the color Baking Cakes right here because it looks extremely natural. This is going to be a more pigmented blush than, for example, the Ravi one, but it's not scary pigmented. You can still be light-handed with it and build it up to your desired level of intensity. My favorite thing when it comes to this blush and this shade in particular is that this shade looks extremely natural on the face. It's a blush for people who don't want to look like they're wearing blush. It looks almost bronzy on my face, which I absolutely love. I love the pigmentation, I love the blendability, I love that it also kind of makes your skin look nice and blurred. Nothing to complain about. Honestly, this is a fantastic blush. If you haven't tried it yet, I do highly recommend it. I don't know that I would be as much of a fan to all of the other colors that Fenty came out with, but for this color right here, this is my 4th most favorite blush that I tried this year because I'm obsessed with using it at the moment. At number 3, I have a blush formula that didn't come out this year, but we did have a color expansion this year, and that is what I'm judging it on, and that is these right here from Patrick Ta Beauty, the Patrick Ta Beauty blush duos. I got 2 colors this year. I got the shade She's the Moment and the shade Not Too Much. And I gotta say, the shade Not Too Much is my most favorite shade from Patrick Ta Beauty, period. I had a different one that I really liked in the past. This is my new #1 favorite Patrick Ta blush in my collection. I love colors like Not Too Much. Similar to the Fenty one I just showed you, it's just one of those formulas that doesn't necessarily look extremely pinky blushy on the cheeks. It's more so a barely flushed type of look. A lot of these blushes that are close to my #1 have that in common because it's my favorite. So take a look right here at how Not Too Much is just very, I'm blushing but barely, right? Right there. And I gotta say, I do really love this other shade as well, She's the Moment. Let me swatch them on the back of my other hand because I feel like the back of this hand is already red on its own. So here is She's the Moment. It's a bit more peachy, a bit more visible as well, but also a blush shade that I really love. Nice and peachy. And of course, the Patrick Ta blush formula in general is incredible. So to be honest with you, the shade extension he did on his blushes this year has been my favorite that he's ever done, because these are my 2 most favorite colors of blush that he's ever come out with. So needless to say that I am a huge fan and that I highly recommend either or both of these blushes. I love them. At number 2, I have a blush formula that made me fall in love with my cheeks. And it's funny because it's usually not like I put it on and I wear it and I look at myself in the mirror and I'm like, it looks good. But if I film a video with this blush that I'm going to mention, when I'm editing the video, I can't not stop staring at my cheeks because they just look juicy, and I love that about it. This is also a shade extension of a blush that I do already love. I'm talking about the Say Beauty liquid blushes, the Dew blush, right? That's what this is called. And specifically, I'm talking about the shade Cutie. I have not been able to put this shade down since it came out, and all through the fall season as well. It's got that like burnt bricky look to it, but it's not too warm, and it blends out seamlessly and beautifully. And like I said, once I have this shade blended out on top of my cheekbone and I am on camera talking, once I'm editing those videos, I cannot stop staring at my cheeks. That's literally what made me realize how much I love this blush. It just looks so juicy and glowy, and it made me look very youthful and hydrated, which we all know is hard because I'm very dry. This blush formula is incredible, and this blush color in particular, the shade Cutie, is, I love it. I'm very impressed by it. I highly recommend it. And that brings us to my most favorite blush of 2024, which is a blush that, as I said at the beginning of the video, I have heavily criticized with reason, okay? But I still love it. It's still my favorite. I still cannot stop using it. It's the blush that I was wearing all throughout the video. I added the Cinch Beauty blush afterwards, but before that, it was the only blush on my face. I am talking, unfortunately, I'm talking because I'm annoyed at it already because I hate the packaging, but I'm talking about the Hourglass Unreal liquid blush. I still very much hate the packaging of this blush, but the formula is so beyond amazing in my opinion that I am willing to look past it. If I could repackage this, I would in an instant because I hate the packaging of it that much. By the way, the shade I have is the shade Scene. I've seen them all in store and I've swatched them, and I decided because I hate the packaging that much, since this is my #1 most favorite shade anyways, that I'm not going to buy any of the other ones. Because I love this blush with a passion, but I hate the packaging also with a passion. Anyways, this says shake well before use, and I think it says that because if you don't shake it well before you use it, it is never coming out of here. Once you open it, it has this stupid dropper, okay? And then it has this thing back here that you press, and when you press it, the shade comes out. Now, I feel like I made that look very easy, but sometimes I have to go in with like the round back of a brush and press it like that because it's hard to press with nails, and so it highly annoys me. But at the same time, as I was saying, I love the color and the formulation so much, I am willing to overlook it, not without disclosing. I absolutely hate the packaging, okay? But anyways, here's the shade Scene. Again, it's the one I was wearing from the beginning of the video, and here's what it looks like blended out. It has a beautiful natural finish to it. It blends out like an absolute dream. It is the most natural, most beautiful peachy looking blush ever. It blends easily with a sponge or with a brush, whatever you decide to use it with. And the shade Scene in particular is the perfect color that I love. It's that in between peachy and pinky. It's not too bright. It's a barely there but I'm still flushing type of blush that I absolutely love. And so for all of those reasons, even though the packaging irks me, this is my #1 most favorite blush that I tried in 2024. I do like this blush formula above everything else I have mentioned today, and I love this color so much that even though, again, I hate the packaging, I cannot escape the fact that this is my #1 favorite blush this year. So take that as you will. Do I recommend it? I obviously do, but just beware, okay, that the packaging might want to make you pull your hairs out sometimes. Just make sure you shake it very well before you use it would be my #1 recommendation, and hopefully you have an easier time than I do getting the blush out of here. And so I will leave you guys with that. Please let me know in the comment section down below what your most favorite blush formula ever is, and the shade as well. I want to know what is your most perfect blush shade and formula, so let me know in the comment section below. I love you all so much. If you are shopping for any of the products I mentioned in today's video, make sure you check the description box for the links or the products tagged right here in the video. Give this video a thumbs up if you liked it, subscribe if you have not already, and I hope to see you back in the next one. Bye.